Welcome into Boxing Scene Today here at the Pro Box TV studio. Well, big fight. That's right. This Friday, it's going to be a late night for us. Join us 11 p.m. The main card starts. That's right. Angelo Leo taking on Kameda in Japan. World title on the line. To help me break it down, I have the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. Also, Coach Robert Garcia joining us. Look, it's one of those things, Paulie, we talk about it all the time. The cat's out of the bag when it comes to Angelo Leo. Meaning when he was fighting here at Pro Box TV, Chris, you said when you saw him, you said, this guy is something special. But the rest of the world with the Venado Lopez knockout, he got on the map, right? He got in that room of world-class elite world champion fighters. Do you think he keeps it going?
I think, when it comes to Leo, having already had that notoriety from his first title reign really helped him. Because I think when you've had already that notoriety, it already gets you in the room, Jimmy. And then from there, it's quicker to get another title shot. Because what happens is, I always tell people, you can get a world championship, even when you become an ex-world champion, the new champions are looking to defend against ex-champions, because you become a resume builder. But in becoming a resume builder, you yourself have a chance to be in the ring and regain a world championship, because you got to be in it to win it, right? So getting those opportunities still matters, and you can turn it around in your favor. He was underdog against Venano, and he came back and got the knockout, and now he's sort of back on the map. He's on the rise again, and people are talking about him, and we've heard him in the in-a-way conversation, and we've heard him in the all of those great conversations you want to be in as a world champion, as a top fighter. I think with Leo, the resurgence obviously makes it exciting. We've seen him grow on Pro Box in this sort of resurgence, and I think the Kameda fight is sort of gonna be a good barometer, because I think getting an opportunity in Japan to defend your title, where Naoya Inoue is already from, if you can look good against Kameda, who's a known entity in Japan. I mean,
sells you in Japan, dude. Yep.
Yeah, the Kamedas are a big deal over there. If you're a known entity there, you already start to get yourself in that demand phase, even over there. If you can be big in Japan, it's always fun too.
Right, but look at, you just said it, Paulie. What could possibly go wrong? Everything's set up for him. He's a 4-1 favorite over Tomoki Kameda. Coach, let me talk to you about that real quick. This idea that, as Paulie said, you're talking about the monster Naoya Inoue in the future. He's a 2-time world champion. He's kind of in the room. How do you avoid that letdown fight after a big upset, knockout of the year contender last year? How do you avoid that kind of letdown fight?
Look, I think right now Leo at this point, winning the title the way he did with a big upset and the knockout of the year type of fight, I think he's on top of the world in his mind. He's unbeatable. I think his training, his condition, his game plan, everything is to the point to where there's no failing in him. His mind is set to become great, to get into the big fights, and there's nothing gonna stop him. In his mind, ain't nothing gonna stop him. I think he's in a great moment right now, mentally, physically. He's at his best, and I think it's going to be hard to stop him. And in fighting in Japan, already looking towards, it looks kind of like they're going that direction where he might face Inui, so that's extra motivation for him too.
Well, when you look at it, Chris, let's keep talking about that mentality. There's something about a 2-time world champion that does something. What I mean by this is I compare, boxing to chess a lot of times. Bobby Fischer won a world title in 1972 and went, something was taken out of me when I became a world champion. So this goal I've been working at my whole life, it was suddenly gone, and he wasn't the same guy, never defended his title, was never a world champion again. And then there are those guys who have that hunger and want to do it again. What does it show to you, Chris, when someone loses their world title and wins another one? They still have that fire? How hard is that to find?
Well, I think not everyone's the same. No one's cut the same way from whatever cloth they are cut from. But I think Angelo Leo is the kind of guy, he's cut from the championship cloth. And I actually think that his time off helped him keep that hunger, because he was a world champion. He took a tough loss against a very, very talented Stephen Fulton. And then we didn't
Who's looking great now. That's aged very, very well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. In hindsight, it's even a better win, but excuse me, a better performance. It was a good fight too. It was a million punches. It was a really interesting fight. But since then, Angelo was out of the ring for like 2.5 years, but he wasn't being lazy. He wasn't sitting on the couch. He wasn't forgetting where he came from. He kept the hunger. He kept working. He stayed in the gym. He was saying he was still sparring in Vegas. If you're off for 2.5 years, you're still sparring, you still got it. You still want it. So when he came back on our air, he had 3 fights back to back to back on Pro Box TV. And like you said from the open, as soon as I saw him, I was like, all right, this guy's cut from something different. He's a different level than we're used to having here. And then sure enough, we got the Venado Lopez fight. And I agree with Coach. I think that he's in the position now, coming off the victory the way that he did, he's got an air of invincibility about him. I saw him a couple weeks ago at the NOA fight. Dude, the aura, it's true. He's a world champion. He was carrying that belt. He was holding that thing so tight. He was so proud of that thing. He is not going to Japan to let that thing go. He's got a tough guy in front of him, but Angelo Leo, I think, is just on a different level right now. I don't think he's dropped the step. I think he's going to be one of those guys where that old saying, becoming world champion makes you 30% better. Well, he's already been a world champion. He got better. He's gotten better again. And I think we're going to see the best version of Angelo Leo come Friday night or Saturday morning, excuse me.
When we switch to the tactics of this fight, Kameda, a very busy fighter, very entertaining fighter, but he tends to have a little fat on his punches, does tend to get a little wide. Coach, let me ask you, is that power of Angelo Leo, which you saw against Fernando Lopez, is that really the deciding factor in this fight? His ability to put power on you at any time with both hands?
Well, it could make a difference, but I don't think that should be the plan where, okay, we're gonna do the same thing we did with Ronaldo. I think he just needs to be in great shape because Kameda is in great shape. That those chaps, they fight. Those guys are gonna put you in a war. So he's got to expect that. He's not supposed to think, oh, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna knock him out cold because I got the power. No, there's no way he could think like that. He's got to be smart. He got to fight smart. He's got to contain his feelings, not get mad and not lose his head, but everything looks in his favor. He's not gonna have an easy fight, but I think he'll pull it off, with a good win.
Now, Paulie, is this similar at all to the Lopez fight, who, while powerful and while he brought good volume, Lopez did get a little wild, did get a little crazy with his offense. That gave Leo away inside. Does Kameda fight similar to that?
In some ways, he can get a bit wide. Sometimes I think Kameda's will have a little bit too much fight in him. He'll get wide because he's
a wild man.
Yeah, he's looking to exchange, he's looking to fight. But you can find the openings inside in between there. But I don't think you can also just look for the power there for Leo. You can punch inside him. You may be able to hurt him. Leo can punch a little bit. But Kameda also takes a good punch. Kameda's comes from that Japanese warrior type spirit, and he sort of embodies that in the way he fights. I don't know if they've ever been stopped, the Kamedas, right? I mean, so they're this is. You get granted it's a little bit older Tomoki Kameda, so if you can get a stoppage, it's still a statement. But Kameda, you probably have to expect he's there for the long haul. You probably got to expect that he's going to show up to fight. The difference here is unlike the Fernando Lopez fight, I think Leo is the favorite, right? So
4-1.
So you expect Leo to perform as the favorite. It's not going to be a shock if he wins, but at the same time, Kameda fighting at home, having that Japanese fighter mentality, maybe his last opportunity at the big moment for Kameda. All this other stuff in front of his home crowd. I think that it probably creates a scenario where you may show up with the most motivated Kameda.
Chavez Taylor, historic fight, their first one in 1990. We've all seen it. Huge fans of TNT Taylor. What I'm curious about, the reason I'm bringing that fight up is I remember some advice midway through that fight. Don't let him carry you too fast. In his corner, Lou Duva was saying, don't let Chavez make you fight too hard, too fast. This could be a 12-round fight. Don't throw too many punches. TNT didn't listen, got knocked out in the 12th round. That idea, is that the danger that Kameda might maybe carry Leo too fast? Paulie talks about everything around it, the Japanese crowd. He's a wild man. The volume of punches, could he make Leo maybe go a little too fast in a sense?
It's possible, sure, that the moment could get to Leo and he could, get dragged into that fight. But we saw him in the Fernando Lopez fight. That moment didn't drag him out of his position, didn't drag him out of his game plan. I don't see that happening here. And the real reason is that because Angelo Leo has something that Kameda doesn't have. He's got a left jab. Kameda throws left hooks. From what I see from Kameda, he's a one-handed fighter. He throws left hands. He throws them hard. He throws them quick. He throws them high. He throws them low. He dispenses with the jab early. He wants to go forward to forehead and bang left hooks. But Leo is a two-fisted fighter. He's got two weapons, and he can use his jab. He's got a good right hand. He throws over the top. He controls range. He can get out. He likes to touch the body on the inside when you do get close. And yes, he's got that vaunted left hook. We're only saying that because we just saw it, in crazy fashion. He's not really a big left hook KO artist, even though we saw that. But he's a dangerous puncher with both hands, and he's a very good body puncher. He's got
get the body
a bunch of knockouts to the body. But Kameda's also a very good body puncher with the left hand. It's gonna be a battle of hookers with these two, as much as Leo wants to. But Leo has the ability to take a half step out and go to his jab and his right hand. He can do that. Kameda is going to be in your face. He's going to be in the pocket. He's going to be trading with you. He wants a war. He's pushing you. He's aggressive. He's, like I said, he's a bit of a wild man. He wants to fight on the inside. Like Coach said, his conditioning is off the charts. Off the charts. But I think Leo, just having more weapons, more tools in the chest, he's going to be able to step out, step around, use the jab, slow the pace at times. If it does start to get too hot, step away, cool things down, then get back into the fray when you want to.
Meldrick didn't do that.
No.
Right, exactly. He was
That
at 11 the whole time, and that's why he ended up losing that fight. Controversially, check it out if you haven't seen it. Coach, so let me ask you, don't hook with a hooker. Who's the hooker in this case? That's advice you always hear. Don't hook with a hooker, but they both throw hooks.
I think the best weapon for this fight is going to be Leo's jab.
Yeah.
I think using that jab and hooking after the jab, body shots after the jab, uppercuts after. I think the jab is going to be the main weapon that Leo needs to be prepared and needs to use for the whole fight. I think the jab is going to be the main weapon.
This idea, Paulie, this is a huge opportunity for Leo that, he becomes big in Japan. We all say it, A, big money, B, maybe a fight with the monster Inoue later on at some point. This idea that he's playing to the crowd as well. He's trying to become popular with the Japanese fans. How does he do that? Keeping up with Kameda, fighting in the kind of firefight, fighting a strategical fight. What's best for him?
I think winning impressively. Kameda is a known entity in Japan, so you beat a guy like that, you sort of make yourself more of a household name in the boxing market over there. When we spoke to Angelo, he did tell us that, fans had come from all parts of Japan to see him at the media arrivals and whatnot. And he was received very well. Japanese fans, the culture there is they respect the fighters a lot. Whether you're Japanese or not, there's a lot of respect there. So I think just continuing to live up to the reputation that they may already have in their minds about him, live up to it and perform at a high level, perform in exciting fashion. And like I said, if you beat one of their own, you become more of a known entity. I think, they recognize Kameda. Obviously they know Leo, but they recognize Kameda. They know Kameda. So you beat him, you can create that little, how it is. You create a little bit of demand for the next guy. Okay, you beat Kameda. Well, we want to see him against Inoue now. So, that can sort of build up to that if you, look exciting and if you build up to that.
Can I answer that same question, Jimmy?
Please.
What does he have to do?
Yeah.
Be Angelo Leo.
Yeah.
Just be him.
Yeah.
He's a very respectful young man. He's well spoken. He's good with the fans. He wants to interact with them. And he's a hell of a fighter. And he puts on good fights.
Yep.
And he's that guy. They're gonna
and you don't always get a typical showcase kind of fight in front of the other guy's home crowd, right? I mean,
Right.
the 4-1 favorite, this is a bit of a showcase because I think this is sort of a dress rehearsal for
It is a weird mix, isn't it? Yeah.
a possible Inoue fight, So, like a champ said, you got to be Angelo Leo. You know who you don't got to be? Canelo Alvarez against William Skull. That's not how
Right.
you promote a big fight, or move your way into a big fight, or
Yeah.
promote it and get people excited about it. So, make it exciting. I think Kameda's gonna obviously.
I don't think he's got a choice.
He's gonna cooperate,
Right.
because Kameda likes
gonna
to
play
play
his
that
part.
way as well.
Yes.
He's gonna play his part. I think we're gonna get a good action two-way fight.
All right. Well, Coach, let me ask you, Kameda, 33 years old, 46 professional fights. As Paulie brings up, it's never been finished, right? 4 losses, never been knocked out. This side, what do you think he has in the tank at this age? Lower weight classes, that's pretty old for a lower weight class. What do you think he's bringing into this fight?
Oh, he's a veteran. He's a veteran. He's been in there. He's done it all. He's got nothing to lose but to become champion again. That it's not going to be an easy fight. It's going to be a great fight. I know everybody's going to enjoy it because, out there in Japan, the fans, they love the sport. They love their fighters, and they're going to support them. And I think that's also going to be something that might help him a little with the support, the love of the fans. Even though people in Japan are very, very honest, very, very respectful, it still favors him. That the home crowd still gonna favor him. But I think he still has what it takes. Obviously Leo is a world champion. We recently became champion with a spectacular win. So he's on top of the world right now. He's favored to win, and we expect him to win. But Kameda has what it takes to become champion again, definitely.
And I'll tell you what, what gets guys out of there that usually don't get stopped? Body shots.
Yes.
Especially when you
at
get
33.
whenever you get the guy who's up and stopped, sometimes the body shots will stop him.
And both guys very good body punchers. Chris, do you think that might be the key? Who puts, as we say, water in the basement, as Teddy Atlas always says, who puts water in the basement early might win this fight?
Potentially, but I don't know. I don't think this is going to be Kameda. Even with a good body shot, I don't see him being a kind of guy who falls to one shot. You know, you're gonna have to kind of break him down. You have to use the jab, because Angelo Leo, like I said, does have a full arsenal and he can set things up. And he's also keeps a very good pace as well. But if he can find the holes in Kameda, because Kameda tends to get a little bit wide, a little bit fat with his punches, because he's so aggressive. And there's that old saying, "Don't hook with a hooker." Leo has the tighter hook for the most part. Yeah. And if he finds holes to punch with Kameda and trade left hooks on his terms, we could see Kameda go down or even be stopped, because Leo's power is very respectful and it's world class.
Last question I have, Paulie, do you worry if you are Leo's camp about getting a decision in Japan?
I think anytime you're on the road, you always worry a little bit. Yeah. You always worry a little bit. There's, you try to do the whole neutral judge thing and all this other stuff.
That's the crowd react when they're a guy
like that. It's all a bunch of BS anyway. If the judges are going to rob you, it doesn't matter if they're from the other side of the world. They get the little talk beforehand, and they'll know what to do. I've been in situations and I've seen situations both that I've participated in, and I've seen situations where other guys have participated in, where it's like the whole panel's neutral and they still are completely off in favor of the A side, or in favor of the guy who, you were worried about getting the robbery decision, So where they're from really doesn't matter. I tell you, personally, this is my personal perspective.
Please.
Whenever you get a judge that has a lot of experience, like this judge is good because he's got a lot of experience. It's actually the opposite. Those kind of guys are in the bag, so they get hired more. So those guys, I actually personally don't worry as much when a guy's less experienced, because do any of us have judging experience? No, we know how to judge a fight, right? So we're genuinely judging a fight. When I start seeing guys who've got like 130, 150 judged fights, I actually worry more, even if they're neutral, because it's like, this guy's a known entity, and nobody complains about him. When you get that many jobs, that means no promoters are against you. That means all the A-side promoters.
You never pissed anybody off, which is a bad sign, right?
So you typically go for them when there's an A-side, B-side type of situation. So I don't really put a lot of stock into the fact that the judges are going to be all neutral and whatnot. Listen, but if you're Angelo Leo, listen, you're a world champion, you're the favorite, you're going in and you're going in there to perform, you don't think about the judges. In my experience, if you overthink about the judges too much, it's gonna play on your mind. You may I can remember in the Juan Diaz fight, I put it out there for people to know about. Nobody paid attention, but on fight night, I wasn't thinking about the judge. I just got to go out there and fight my fight, When I went to Ukraine and fought Sinchenko, the same thing. It was like, I'm gonna worry about it. I sort of made a little bit of a stink about something, but on fight night, I got to go out there and perform. And it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, well, if you knock them out, you don't need the judges. At world-class level, the differences are like this.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah, it's hard to do.
So if you start coming outside of yourself to try to fight a different fight than you normally fight, because if I knock them out, then you may actually lose for real then. You may fight a different fight and then lose for real. And then you don't even have the whole, I got robbed to hang your hat on. You just get raw, you just get beat, and that's it, and nobody cares anymore. So I think you always have to be true to yourself, fight your fight, and then what's out of your hands is out of your hands. You let that part go. You control what you can control on fight night. And on fight night, you know what you control? Fighting the best possible fight you can fight. And that's the way you dance with the girl that got you there. You fight the style that got you there. And then whatever happens, happens. So yeah, it does play on your mind a little bit in these situations, because obviously we've seen some bad situations. But Japan, typically of late, we've seen some righteous decisions. I don't know. Can you remember a recent Japanese fight that has had a robbery? I know about 20 years ago, Jose Navarro got robbed on a New Year's Eve show. That was like 2003, I think.
All the Jap fights that I've seen in Japan recently, everyone gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Knocking everybody out.
Well, this one has a good chance to go to distance. So,
it does.
So we'll see. But, I don't think you can overthink it on fight week.
Well, it's going to be a prepared Angelo Leo, of course. Tomoki Kameda looking to become a world champion. 33 years old. What does he have in the tank? That is the question. Come find out the answer. 11 o'clock Friday right here at Pro Box TV. It's a late night, early morning for us. Yeah.
That's what? Yep. 11 to 4.
Yeah.
Those are like my old New York City nightclub hours.
There you go. Paulie's going to be great. He'll bring the music. We'll be ready to go right here on Pro Box TV. Join us. Party with Paulie Malignaggi. He'll be ready to go. This has been Boxing Scene Today. Tune in. Find out why millions are watching.